Greetings and welcome to another Intro to Python video with the Gwinnett County Public Library. I'm Fernando, a Learning Lab specialist here, and we're going to get ready with episode 3. If you haven't watched episode 1 or episode 2, I would go ahead and check those out. It'll prepare you for episode 3, and in terms of the content, we're just going to just keep going. Okay, so we left off in episode 2 with lists. We used a backpack as if it was uh, if it was like a choose your adventure game, and that list, the backpack, had items in it. So we're going to go ahead and continue with lists, and we'll go from there. So we're going to use Replit again. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a Python Replit. All right, so I have a blank script here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a list. And this time I'm just going to call it group. Okay, and remember, when you create a list, you give it a name just like you would a variable, and then you put the values, right? And with a list, you have to make sure you have your brackets. Okay, lists have to be in brackets. So in this group, I don't know. Let's just use names. We'll use, like, I don't know, maybe Ronnie, maybe Bobby, and Ricky and Mike. How about that? All right. All right. So there we go. We have a list, and it's called group. And just a quick recap: if we wanted to, uh, an output on the right side of our screen, right? We can call it our console, right, or our shell. I can do print, and what do I want to print? I want to print the group. Okay, we're going to run it, and boom, we have Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. All right. So we have the group. Now, just to recap, again, we're going to remove something from the group. So I'm going to go ahead and do group and then use a method. And to use a method, we're going to use period. I'm going to use remove. And I don't know, who do we want to remove? Maybe Bobby. Let's remove Bobby. And then we're going to print the group. And we're going to run. Right? So we went from Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, and then Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike. Okay. All right. And then if we wanted to add someone, right, we could do group, and then the method we would use. Well, we gotta spell group right. Group period append. Append is the keyword here, and we're gonna append, I don't know, Johnny. Cool name. And we'll print the group again. All right, group, and let's run it. All right, so now we went from Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, and then we removed Bobby, so we have Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike, and then we went ahead and added Johnny, so we have Ronnie, Ricky, Mike, and Johnny. I don't like that our group started with just 4 people. Why not? We're just gonna add a 5th name. Let's just say Ralph. All right. So that's a quick recap on removing and appending. Okay. So another thing you can do with lists is you can select um, values from the list, specific values. And the way it works is, if I wanted to access the name, well, we're going to we're going to go ahead and lead with our current group, right? Ronnie, Ricky, Mike, and Johnny. So if we want to access Johnny, for example, well, no, we'll start with Ronnie. So if we wanted to print Ronnie, we don't have to have a variable for Ronnie. We can actually access it by going group, and then in brackets, this is going to be the index. If I want to access the first value in the list, I use 0, okay? When we're working with lists, the order goes 0, 1, 2, 3, okay? We start with 0. So if I want to print just Ronnie, I'm doing print group 0, and you'll see that it prints out Ronnie. Now if I wanted to access Johnny, let's see, 0, Ronnie, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Johnny is 4. Group, and then in brackets, 4, and then we'll run it. And you see on the right side of our screen, it prints Johnny, okay? So that's how you access certain values. Now, with scripts, excuse me, not scripts, with strings, which we've already talked about, but this index, how you access certain values, also works with strings. So check this out. Let's go ahead and create a value. We'll say a variable called, I don't know, we're just going to call ability equals jump. Just kind of flashback to text-based adventure game. So ability equals jump. Now check this out. I can say print ability, and if I wanted to print out the third letter in jump, we can do J equals 0, U equals 1, M equals 2. So I can say 2, and we'll run it. And you'll see that it prints out the M on the right side of the screen. So something really cool there. Okay, so with indexes, it doesn't have to just be one value. We can actually split it up. So let's see. We have Ronnie, Ricky, Mike, Ralph, and Johnny. So if we wanted to access just, let's see, Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike, what we could do is we go back to the left side of our screen, and we'll say print. And what do we want to print? We want to print group. And then I'm going to do my brackets, and I want the value 0. And then we're going to do colon. So 0, colon. And where do we want it to end? Well, I want Ronnie, Ricky, Mike. So Ronnie was 0, Ricky was 1, Mike was 2. So we actually have to do +1. You need one more than where you want to be. So I need a 3. Now we're going to print the group from values 0 to 3, but remember, it's just printing the first 3. You see, now we have Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike. So another cool thing that we can do with lists, and this will be the introduction to uh, for loops. Okay, in Python and many other languages, you have for loops and while loops, and we're just going to do a quick example of a for loop. And in episode 4 or 5, we'll get in depth in it. So with a for loop, we're going to start with going back to our script. I'm going to say for, And then we need, the next thing is just going to be a temporary variable. So I'm just going to say for person in group. Okay. So just the breakdown here, we have for because it's required in our, it's just a keyword, right? It's required for our for loop. So we'll say for person, which it doesn't have to be person. It could be X. It could be blah. It could be whatever. This is just a temporary value, and you'll see what it's used for in a second. But I like to keep the temporary variable somehow related to what's in the list, okay? If the list was a group of numbers, then maybe I would say num for the temporary variable. But we'll do for person in group. And what do I want to do? I want to print person. Now my script is getting pretty busy here, so I'm going to go ahead and comment some things out. And if you remember how we do a comment of multiple lines, you can start off with quote, quote, quote. We're going to do that on line 3. And then I'm going to end the comment at line 22. So the only thing I have here, have group, and then I have my for loop. So go ahead and see what happens. So I'm going to run, and look what happens. So it prints out Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. Then we have Ralph, okay? And if we go and look at go back to our script, what's happening is for person in group. So what's the first index? It's 0. So whoever's at 0 is the person. So print who's at 0, it's Ronnie. So the for loop continues. So we go from line 24 back to line 23. So who's the person now? It's Bobby. Okay. So Bobby is the person. We print the person, which is Bobby. And then it continues Ricky, and then it goes again, Mike, and then we have Ralph. And then it stops. With the for loop, it's going to stop when it gets to the end of the list. Now you can do other cool things with for loops, but we will get into that in a next episode because we can get really in depth uh, into lists, okay, or not lists, for loops. All right. So the cool thing too is from a group, I'm going to go ahead and uncomment a few things. I'm going to remove the print group. We'll keep removing Bobby. We'll remove that print. We'll go ahead and remove printing the group. We'll remove these. We'll remove ability jump. We can remove that. And let's leave it with, and we'll just comment out the for loop just so we have, just so we can keep it there if we want to go back to it. But with this, I'm just going to do single line comments. Remember, you can do the pound or tic-tac-toe sign or hashtag, whatever you want to call it, to comment out just one line. So I'm going to keep that there, comment it out. I'm going to cut it, just move it up here somewhere, just move it out of the way, just cleaning up. Sometimes it's helpful just to clean up. We'll keep a space there. All right. So just a recap of what we have a group, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, and then we have Ralph. We're going to remove Bobby. We're going to append Johnny. So at this point, well, I'll go ahead and print group there too. No, we'll keep it out. Just know that Johnny is there. And then we're going to print out the first 3 in the group. So we're going to run it and see that we print out Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike. So let's say they want to be in their own group now. Okay. So what we can do is create a new list, and we're just going to call this, um, we'll call it group one. No, we're not call it. Let's just say uh, new group. And remember in Python, if we're going to use a space, you want to use an underscore. Okay, you want to use state casing. So new group equals, and I'm going to say it's equal to group starting at index 0 to 3. And then I'm going to print new group. Okay, so we're going to run it, and look what happened. So it printed out, of course it printed out the first one, group 0 to 3, but now we created a new group and we printed out new group, and we have Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike. And since we're active over here in the shell, I can type in new group and hit enter, and you'll see that the value of new group is Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike. So you can take values from a list and make a new list if you want to, among other things. And if you didn't know that, now you know. All right. So that's what you can do with lists. Now I'm going to go and let's start off with talking about, actually, before we talk about this, I want you to pause the video and create a new group and do the same thing, okay? And let's say, go ahead and give you the task. So I want you to pause the video. Well, not yet, but I want you to um, pause the video and create or replicate what we just did, okay? So I want you to make a group. You can call it friends or you can call it band. And you can use the names maybe like, I don't know, Justin, JC, I don't know, maybe Chris, Lance, Joey, or you can use whatever you want. But how about you use Justin, JC, Chris, Lance, Joey, and I want you to remove Justin. I want you to then print out a new group, okay, using the indexes, okay, which would leave JC, Chris, Lance, and Joey. Or actually, I want you to print out a new group, which is just Lance and Joey. So pause the video and then do that. All right, great job. So let's just go ahead and do that. So we're just going to call it friends. Let's tackle it really fast. Friends, we're going to do a list, and we'll say Justin, not Justine, Justin. And you want to make sure that you put the comma in between the names, okay? So we'll say JC and Chris and Lance and Joey. All right. And then I asked to remove Justin. So we'll say friends, period, remove Justin. And then I said to create a new group. I don't know, we'll just call them super friends with Lance and Joey. So looking at the index, now keep this in mind that here's a trick. And maybe you found it out when, or yeah, maybe you found out what happens when you remove Justin. So JC is now 0, Chris is now 1, Lance is now 2, Joey is now 3, right? Because Justin is no longer there because we're removing. So if I just wanted Lance and Joey, then I'll say friends, and let's see, we have JC is 0 now, Chris is 1, Lance is 2, so I'll say 2. We need our colon, and we're going to go to 3, but we need to plus 1, right? So 4, and we're going to print our super friends. Okay, let's run it. Of course, we still have our Ronnie, Ricky, Mike. So let's just clean it up. We're going to remove those, run it, and now you have Lance and Joey. So great job for tackling that. And that's where we're gonna leave it for episode 3. Be sure to subscribe to GCPL so every time a new episode is released, you can check it out. Also, we have great programming all across the board, from cooking to story times, all sorts of stuff. How to sew. We have virtual sewing programs. And of course, you also have access to Book of Librarians, where you can schedule one-on-one time virtually with one of the Learning Lab specialists to continue your journey with Python. So I hope you enjoyed episode 3. I hope you subscribe. I hope you look forward to episode 4 and continue your journey. Thank you.